everybody. It's a little bit past 12 o'clock, almost 12:30 here from where I am. You're listening to Jim Krasnerick here live on Spreaker Web Radio. This is another live podcast of Real Steel Sports. I'd like to wish everybody on behalf that is in the Eastern Time Zone a happy Memorial Day. The Central, Mountain, and Western Time Zones haven't caught up to us yet, but this is truly one of the most forgotten days of the calendar. People think of it as a day to cook out, have barbecues, and eat hot dogs, but really, this day is about the ones that often aren't even here, the ones that have given their lives so that we can be free. And I don't think that their efforts and their accomplishments should be understated or can be understated. It's times like these that make me hate the Iraq War and George W. Bush even more than I already do. But, I think it's time to throw that opinion out the window. I think it's time, we can move on from that. But I just want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day, and to say to our soldiers, I want to say thank you to all of you. Now let's get back to the sports. Yesterday we saw the Canadians hey, let me catch my bearings here, hang on. Yesterday we saw a couple of series have some momentum shifts, and one series look all but over. Of course, I'm talking about the NBA and NHL conference finals, which are heating up rapidly. Starting with the NBA Western Conference Finals, we have the Spurs and the Thunder. Now, after two games, the Spurs blew them out, took a 2-0 lead. Serge Ibaka comes back tonight, plays very, very well, and the Thunder take Game 3 and looked very impressive from start to finish. Westbrook was great, Durant played well, and pretty much the entire Spurs team played average. I can say average. Ibaka's presence made a difference. But honestly, what do I think of the series? I still think the Spurs are going to win it. I still do, because think about it. You don't go from blowing a team up by 35, 40 points to automatically losing a series to them just because they got one guy back. And besides, Ibaka's not a guy that's going to put up 25 points a game anyway. Yes, he's going to block some shots, but eventually Greg Popovich is going to figure out how to get around him. How Popovich had to deal with big guys in the center playing in the West for how many years ever since he was first became the Spurs head coach. The guy knows how to deal with every single opposition, and he will get through this. I still think the Spurs will take it in 6. But do I honestly think that how one-sidedly they won this game changes my opinion in the series? It changed it a little, because I thought with Ibaka's injury, I didn't think he'd be as effective. I thought the Spurs might even take it in a sweep, and maybe even 5 games. But I'm still actually going to... The fact that it changes means I still think it's going to be a little less one-sided than people think. And the fact that I'm going with San Antonio, to still win it in 6 games. I still think the Spurs are going to win this series because they are the better team this year. Now, let's jump to baseball. Dodgers pitcher Josh Beckett threw a no-hitter today, the first one in Major League Baseball this year. First of his career. Some pretty amazing production out of the 34-year-old righty, but are no-hitters in the Major Leagues overrated? Or are they awesome? I would have to say, because I'm on Sports Nation right now, and their poll suggests that, according to over 10,000 polls, that 84% of America thinks that no-hitters are awesome, and 16 says overrated. I think it's both. I think that, we're gonna get a lot of them throughout the course of the season, but when they do happen, they are special. No-hitters, they're becoming more commonplace now because of the fact that it's become more or less a pitcher's league nowadays. Like back in the old days, it was easier to put up runs. It seems like nowadays it's just so hard to more or less do anything really offensively because pitchers are just dominating the game. Now, when it comes to pitching, what career highlight would I like to have the most? Would it be to win the deciding game of a World Series, throw a no-hitter, a perfect game, this is just like a fan thing, or to win a Cy Young? Again, this is just how I am about sports. Being an athlete, being a tennis player myself. You can give me all the MVPs, regular season awards, whatever you want. I will throw it out the window if it means I can get a championship. I don't care about that personal shit. I don't. I want to win a title. Alright? So for me, and Sports Nation agrees, I would much rather win the deciding game of a World Series and be a nobody than to throw a no-hitter or a perfect game or to win a Cy Young. I don't want to be like a Dan Marino and freaking go my whole career, not win a Super Bowl, but be a great player. I'd rather be like Trent Dilfer. Actually, no, not Trent Dilfer. Let's go. Let's think of another guy. Troy Aikman. Cowboy fans are going to dislike me for this, but I still don't think that Troy Aikman was that great a quarterback. I think he was a good quarterback with a really good team around him. Bottom line. They didn't call the O-line the Great Wall of Dallas for nothing. I'd rather have Aikman's career than Marino's. The only thing I'd hate about it was the fact that I'd beaten the Steelers. Yeah, I don't go for that. But anyway, is Becca still an elite pitcher? He had a good game, but I don't think he's elite anymore. He's too old. Now shifting back to basketball. The Heat have the same series lead that the Spurs do, and it's 2-1 in the Eastern Finals. How do I think that'll play out with the Pacers? Let's put it this way. If the Pacers can blow a 15-point lead and still lose by 12, yeah, they're not going anywhere. I would be shocked if the Pacers won this series. I'm sticking the Heat in 6. I see the Pacers getting one more win on their home court, but I don't see any way that they beat Miami one more time in Miami. I'd be shocked if they did. Now, shipping over to hockey. The Kings lead 2-1 the Western Finals, and the Rangers lead 3-1. So right now, if the current series were to all end, NBA and NHL, I'd get a flush. I'd pick all 4 of them correctly. But I think the Kings are going to finish off the Blackhawks in 6 games. I've said it before, and I think they're going to do it again, even now, because, again, last year the Kings were more wary, and the Blackhawks were a much better hockey team. I think the Kings are better this year than they were last year, and I think the Blackhawks are a little worse. They don't have the kind of defense they did last year that was the best in the league. The Kings, on the other hand, their defense is just as good, and their offense is scoring a lot more. Now, see, I would comment on the World Group, but, again, I'm just not really, much into soccer. I can't make calls either way. If I can get back to baseball. The Red Sox are 20-29 with 10 straight losses. And will they turn around and make the playoffs? No, I don't think so. I know it's still in the season, we're only 49 games in, but shit, sorry about that. To lose 10 straight games is pretty tough, but teams like that can start to second guess themselves. And they don't have some of the key guys that they had last year. I'm pretty sure Ellsbury's in New York, if my memory serves me correctly. So yeah, it's tough to do that, especially all things considered, because, you've already, lost 10 straight, and the fact you'll have some guys last year that are veterans that can bring you up, it hurts. Now, shifting over to the NFL, now that we're going to worry about mini camps, training camps, off-season starting to, more or less heat up with, team activities, which of the new players in their particular teams are going to make the biggest impact on the defensive side of the football? Peppers with the Packers, Revis with the Pats, or Ware with the Broncos? When I did this poll and filled it out like about 5 minutes before I started this, I said Darrelle Revis with the Patriots, but honestly, I don't think that's anymore. I'm going to stick with that. I say DeMarcus Ware, actually, because what DeMarcus Ware is good at is getting to the quarterback. And you're putting him on the same ball. You're putting him with Von Miller. Which guy can you block? You can't block them both. You can only block one. This was like whenever Von Miller had Dumervil, on his other side. And last year, Miller, even when he played, was not the same player. Was not as good. And I think Miller will be back this year off his injury. I think he'll be back. And the thing with the Patriots is that, their secondaries always get interceptions. So, bringing Revis over is not going to do much. And besides, you look at the offenses that they be going against. The Jets don't have a really great number one wide receiver. They got a bunch of average guys. The Bills have a bunch of guys, even though they did draft Sammy Watkins. The Dolphins have a couple of guys that are really impressive. And besides, Wallace will be able to get open against Revis anyway. Because he's so fast. Think about it. The Rivas signing was great for the Patriots and all in their defense, but, it's not going to be as big a difference maker as DeMarcus Ware. And now onto my sport, tennis, and who I believe will win the French Open. Will it be one of the big four, Djokovic, Federer, Murray, Nadal, or somebody else? And honestly, I think Djokovic takes it this year, and here's why. Nadal has one title coming in on the clay. He's looked average in a lot of the tournaments he's played, including the one he won. He's not playing that great, his confidence is a little bit shaken, and he's not looking physically 100%. Now we'll have to see how it plays out now that we're on the La Terre Battue of the French, a tournament he's won 8 out of 9 times. My opinion is that Djokovic right now, with the win in Rome, big confidence booster. Playing better, playing smarter. He's figured out how to play Nadal on clay specifically, The fact that he can wear Nadal out by keeping him out in the court a long time, I think helps, because I don't think Nadal's going to be able to go best 3 out of 5 for 7 straight matches with himself being physically beaten up. Murray, I would look at as definitely a long shot, because Clay's not his best service, and he's going to have to beat at least 1 or 2 of the big guys to win the title, and I find that hard to believe. Federer could do it, but he's only going to be able to take out 1 of them, if anything. And Nadal would be almost an impossible task. Djokovic is the best chance. I think he's actually got a better chance than Nadal, because right now, you look at this year, who's playing better? Djokovic is playing better. The women's draw will be Li Na, Aggie Radwanska, Maria Sharapova, Serena Williams. The Williams sisters can bug me sometimes, I don't know. But, I am going to pick Serena because she is the best player in the world, definitely. Well, Rory McIlroy won a major now in 2014 with the recent engagement ending with Caroline Wozniacki. I know it's not part of the question, I decided it myself, but, I think McIlroy's overrated. I think Wozniacki's overrated. I think that whole, couple thing that they had was overrated. Here's the thing. McIlroy had a press conference today about this breakup with Wozniacki. I gotta be perfectly honest with you. If you have a conversation to break a press conference, even if you're an athlete, to talk about how you broke up with your ex-fiance, then there's something wrong with this world. But no, he's not gonna win in a major. Now, which of these players is the biggest difference maker for his team? Is it Paul George? Is it Dwayne Wade, Kawhi Leonard, or Russell Westbrook? It's not. None of these guys are the key biggest scorers for their team. LeBron James is the biggest scorer for the Heat. Tony Parker and Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili kind of alternate for the Spurs. And Durant is the key guy for the Thunder. Paul George is the guy who gets a lot of the points whenever it comes to the Pacers, so it's obviously him. Final question. Should the Washington Redskins change their name? For a long time, I went back and forth on this one and was predominantly said no, they shouldn't. But I've done more research on the actual term, the slang term for Redskin. And honestly, my opinion is this. If you were to walk up to a Native American or someone of that descent, whether it be someone of the Navajo tribe, or any of those, groups of Native Americans that are still around, and you call them a Redskin, I don't even know if the Navajo tribe is even related to that, so that's just me, I'm tired, it's 1 in the morning almost, seriously. But here's the point. The point is, if you go up to a Native American, of descent of Native American, and you call him a Redskin, you're probably going to get the same reaction you would from him that you would get from an African American person if you called them the N-word. I'm serious, you would. Let's put it this way. There is a reason why the Native Americans have the right and